Good afternoon and a warm welcome to all members of the UJ Convocation. My name is Kinta Burger. I'm the Registrar of the University of Johannesburg and also the Secretary of the UJ Convocation. Convocants, this is the first annual general meeting under the new Executive Committee of UJ's Convocation. The new Executive Committee, EXCO as we refer to them, were elected last year. And we will introduce them to you shortly. But before I do that, I just want to invite you to post your questions and comments, please, on the Q&A box. We would like to hear from you. So now, convocants, it's then my pleasure to introduce to you the President of the UJ Convocation, Professor Boitumelo Diale, also known as Prof. Tumi. Prof. Diale did her undergraduate studies at the former Vista and her postgraduate studies at UJ and its legacy institutions. That includes a PhD in education in 2011. Prof. Diale started her career as a high school teacher at J.E. Malepi Secondary School in Tsakani in 1994, where she later became the head of Department Life Orientation. In 2024, she joined the former RAU, which is now, of course, UJ, first as a UniPrep academic facilitator at the Academic Development Center, and then as lecturer in the Faculty of Education in 26. In 29, she moved to UJ Center for Psychological Services and Career Development as an educational psychologist. Prof. Diale was recruited and was the first psychologist to be appointed on a permanent position at Sibona Discovery Center to help develop the Career Center and to establish the psychological services. In 2013, she returned to UJ as a senior lecturer. Prof. Diale currently holds a position as the head of Department of Educational Psychology in the Faculty of Education at UJ. She also chairs the Faculty of Education Transformation Committee and plays an advisory role in the university's Transformation Office. Prof. Diale is a registered educational psychologist with the Health Profession Council of South Africa. She holds various leadership positions within professional bodies in her field. For example, she is the chairperson of the South African Career Development Association and an academic board member of the South African College of Applied Psychology. As a scholar and researcher, Prof. Diale is the section editor for the South African Journal of Childhood Education and an editorial board member for the African Journal of Career Development. Prof. Diale is currently also appointed as a visiting associate professor at the University of Nigeria, Nsukka. Ladies and gentlemen, convocants, I now hand over to the President of Convocation, Prof. Tumi Diale.
Good afternoon, fellow convocants. Thank you all for joining me in this afternoon as we virtually gather for the first address of my 3-year tenure as the President of the UJ Convocation. Allow me to introduce to you the executive members you elected into office in August 2019. Let me start by introducing to you my Deputy President, Mrs. Zanele Modiba. Also, allow me to introduce to you Mr. Msisi Koza, who is also the member of the executive and also the member of the UJ Council. Another member of the executive is Ms. Confidence Chilande, who is also a representative and a member of the UJ Council. And our fifth member is Ms. Mandy Winner as a member of the executive. In addition to the members that you see on your screen now, we also have Professor Tshilidzi Marwala, who is also the executive member of the convocation. We also have Prof. Kinta Burger, who is the registrar and also a member of the executive convocation, and Mr. Nel Ludwaba, who is the manager, the senior manager alumni. We wish to welcome you into this exciting day. As we start this convocation AGM, as members of the convocation, which include our UJ alumni, our academic staff, and our retired members of the academic staff. Under normal circumstances, I'm an extremely hopeful, excited, and energized individual. This year, I'm still hopeful, but the reality is, as a nation and the world, there are many uncertainties and sobering realities that we are facing. While we're all dealt a blow by the novel coronavirus, as the executive, we are excited to engage with you, our fellow alumni and convocants. None of us saw this coming, and we were never ready to face this new reality. My dear convocants, higher education has always required agility and flexibility, but universities had to immediately pivot from how they were used to work to do nearly everything in a new way. Students switched from face-to-face teaching to learning to do online classes. They had to overcome computing, visual, audio, and connectivity challenges, not also excluding challenges that they were faced in a socio-economic circumstance. This was an incredible test on our resilience as well as on our ability to innovate, not only as a tertiary institution, but as individuals too. It was not an easy journey, but the results were excellent for the University of Johannesburg. As the convocation, we wish to acknowledge and congratulate the university on how it acted swiftly and rose to the occasion to ensure that they saved the academic year. We still acknowledge the hard work and the sleepless nights by the executive of this university, the leadership of this university to save 2020. But equally, we wish to congratulate you, the academic staff on the ground, on how you engaged with your students in a meaningful and supportive way. You continue to provide the best you could to serve our students, our future alumni. It is through your hard work and the dedication that the university was able to successfully complete the first semester. As members of the convocation, we thank you all. Yes, indeed, these uncertain times are very scary and emotionally draining. The past 6 months has been difficult for each of us as we experience the world unfolding in unique and personal ways. Today, I want to remind you of what is important and what is possible. Today is the day of hopefulness in the face of enormous challenges. Now more than ever is the time to pull together as a community to support each other as the alumni, to support our future alumni, the students, our academics, the leadership, and everybody in times of uncertainty. COVID-19 has given us an opportunity to examine more deeply how we interact with each other and how we move this convocation forward. In 2019, shortly after our election into office, we held a strategic session on how we wish to take the convocation forward in a manner that would benefit both the alumni and the university. We agreed on projects that we were planning to pitch at the then envisaged AGM in May. As I was preparing for this address, I had to reflect on these plans and their relevance and agency in these challenging times. I had to take stock and to examine our progress in the first year of office and to position ourselves for what lies ahead. I realized we did not achieve much as our lives were turned into topsy-turvy land. So as COVID-19 continues to reshape us and the globe into a new normal, allow me to share with you the envisaged projects by the executive of the convocation. By no means are these cast in stone. We therefore welcome your ideas and suggestions. At our executive meeting, strategic planning meeting last year, we put our head together to think of the ideas or the projects we want to implement as the convocation executive. The first one is the female residents at Soweto. As I acknowledged at the start of this address, these are extraordinary dynamic times for higher education. And achieving our vision as the executive requires our awareness and responsiveness to the multiplicity of challenges we face. Among the most significant is the continuing violence against women and children. Gender-based violence has become the second pandemic we are facing as women in South Africa. As the executive, we are concerned about the rising number in gender-based violence cases, and our female students are not immune to this. To address this scourge and endeavor to protect our students, both undergraduate and postgraduate, who live outside campus and are in danger of being violated while traveling to and from the university. We plan to hold hands with the university in building the female residence at the Soweto campus. Our contribution towards this new residence will at least ensure that about more than 700 female students are given accommodation that is safe on campus. Our target future occupants are our first-year students, who are more vulnerable as most of them have left the safe space called home for the first time in their lives. As they transition to adjust to higher education, they also need to adjust to the unsafe streets that surround the university because they could not be accommodated on campus. While this work is not easy, we can do more as members of the convocation to be socially responsible contributors to society by ensuring that this residence is completed. I hope we can all be activists towards building an anti-GBV community. Our second project is the Alumni Clubhouse. As the executive, we realize more the need to come together, be it physically or virtually. This clubhouse is envisaged to be a powerhouse of not only sharing ideas on how to grow the UJ, but also to ensuring that our alumni have a physical space where they can congregate and network, share personal and professional development ideas, grow the mentoring network of our alumni office, and also connect with our international alumni. We therefore envisage this space to be a global hub for all convocants, where we will be able to hold events and connect with our fellow alumni globally. We have started engaging with the university on this project, and our Chief Operations Officer, Professor Andreswa, is looking at the options of spaces where this can be established. It is through such spaces that we can bring together our alumni from the merged institutions, the TWR and the RAU, as we together move forward as the UJ. Our third project is establishing chapters, our international chapters and affinity groups. Through the alumni office, we are starting to establish chapters and alumni affinity groups around the world. As global citizens, our alumni are spread in various parts of the world. Our goal as the executive is to ensure that we establish international chapters and reconnect our global alumni to the UJ. Together with our Vice Chancellor, Professor Marwala, we addressed the USA virtual engagement in the past few weeks. And it is through these engagements that we hope more and more can be achieved together with our international alumni. My fellow convocants, this can never be done alone as leadership. It is thus important that we hold hands with you for this to be successful. We also look forward to establishing affinity groups that are discipline-specific. Such groups will allow alumni who are in the same professional field to network and to support each other, thus allowing them growth and development in the field. Examples of such existing groups are those that in the field of accounting and in the field of educational psychology. We will soon be engaging with the deans of the faculties to establish more discipline-specific groups. Allow me to share with you some of the achievements and benefits for us as the alumni. We have various benefits that the Alumni Office has actually established that will contribute to us as the alumni of the UJ. The first one is the digital certificates. Now, as the alumni, we are able to access the digital certificates via the digital certificate platform on the UJ website and to view or share our certificates for verification purposes with the third parties, such as prospective employers. We also have the electronic academic record that is being signed by our registrar, Professor Kinta, that you can also access free of charge. We also have the Alumni Connect. The Alumni Connect is a social media platform where we, as the alumni or our pre-alumni who are final students, can be able to connect around with everybody. This allows us also to give our pre-alumni and our newly graduated alumni the opportunity to have mentors in their field that they can link with. More excitingly, we have our Alumni Boitumelo magazine. This is a magazine that actually allows us to be able to show you the important thing that the office is doing. In this magazine, we celebrate some My apologies. We invite you to visit the alumni website and update your contacts with us. This magazine can be found on the internet of the UJ. Fellow convocants, we want to invite you to help us in identifying our alumni dignitas. We have our UJ Alumni Dignitas Award. In this award, we want to give or to celebrate the achievements of the people that have actually achieved in their careers, and to ensure that we celebrate them as the alumni. We are further working on various benefits for you, our convocants, and we'll soon be informing you of the progress in this regard. So watch the space. While we have these plans in mind, I believe there must be a living document that responds to the changing circumstances. Convocation members are the ambassadors of the university, and it is our responsibility to spread positive news about the UJ far and wide as we strive to present the institution in a positive light. We also have the role to discuss the state of the university and to give our opinion upon any matter relating to the University of Johannesburg. That said, I wish to remind you that I remain accountable to you, my fellow convocants, and I want you to engage me on your needs and what you expect from us as the executive. Please send any ideas, thoughts, suggestions to me directly via this email, convocation@uj.ac.za. I repeat the email, convocation@uj.ac.za. I know we need to shine a light on areas where oppression is embedded in our culture and practice. As a Black female president and academic, I believe developing a capacity for this type of examination and change requires us to be patient, vulnerable, and flexible, traits not often spoken about in higher education leadership culture. I therefore undertake to engage the university leadership on these uncomfortable issues. Yes, these challenges are real and considerable, but not unsurmountable. I have faith that through each of you and our university leadership will rise to meet them. Implicit in our university's vision is our aim to adapt to the changing circumstances such that we become a university of choice for many and are an exemplar of the public university for the 21st century. As the leadership of the convocation, we promise to provide you, our fellow convocants, with transformational experience that serves our alumni, academics and prospective graduates. Together we can fulfill our mission to transform and serve humanity through innovation on collaborative pursuit of knowledge. Our mission statement affirms our aim to inspire socially responsible citizens. Continued responsiveness to our plan certainly requires effort, but also, in some cases, investments of funds. We therefore plead with you as our alumni to consider contributing generously towards attaining these goals. Allow me to remind each one of us about the value of service and the importance of giving, not because we see a need. My apologies. Allow me to remind each one of you that about our value of service and the importance of giving, not because we see a need, but because we have to give, and not because we have access, but because that is what is given to each one of us. As the University of Johannesburg, we have much to be proud of. The successes of our alma mater attest to the fullest of its fulfillment of its mission, adherence to its values, and ultimately the strength of our community as the UJ. We also understand the challenges and opportunities through continuous planning. We are well positioned to address all of these. What is called for now is our perseverance in executing these plans. I urge you to join in the push to sustain our vision. I know each one of us wants the best for our university, for each other, for our families, and for ourselves. And given all we have been through, please let us strive to treat one another with extra measures of patience, kindness, and grace. As I conclude, I want you to know that it is a tremendous honor to stand before you as the president and pledge to represent your needs and wishes, and as we continue to engage constructively with the university. As we look to the future, let us all remember the power of higher education to transform human lives in the world that is in great need of transformation. I look forward to Jenny as we continue to work together and facilitate a more just and equitable future for us all. Allow me to leave you with the words by Steve Bantu Biko. I quote, "We have set out on a quest for a true humanity, and somewhere on the distant horizon, we can see the glittering prize. Let us march forth with courage and determination, drawing strength from our common plight and our brotherhood and sisterhood. In time, we shall be in a position to bestow upon South Africa the greatest gift possible, a more human face. I thank you all. Ke a leboga, ngiyabonga, bayadanki." Dear convocants, allow me now to introduce to you and welcome our Vice Chancellor, Professor Tshilidzi Marwala, who will address us on the state of the University of Johannesburg. Professor Marwala, as the convocation, while it is our task to support you and your leadership, it is equally our responsibility to challenge you and to continue to engage constructively with the university to make UJ a university of choice. As the executive of the convocation, we look forward to journey with you in the next 2 years and wish you strength and courage for the road ahead. Professor Marwala, the stage is yours.
Thank you very much, President. I would like to also acknowledge the physical presence of the Deputy President of Convocation, Deputy President Modiba, and also the member of the Executive Committee of the Convocation, Ms. Diale, and also other members of the Executive Committee of Convocation who are not here with us today. I also would like to thank Professor Kinta-Berger, who has been instrumental, especially as the secretarial support for the Executive Committee of Convocation. As we edge closer to December and reflect on the year that was, it is not only the challenges that remain stuck in my mind, but the agile way in which we were able to respond. It emerged from Global Language Monitor, a data research company that tracks trends in the worldwide use of the English language, that among the most used words for the year are COVID, coronavirus, the new normal, and progress. All these are happening in the background of a bitter election in the United States, where COVID has become a big election matter. Added to that are some of the most used words: unprecedented, uncharted, strange, and agile. Since the first rumblings of COVID-19, the University of Johannesburg has been agile, responsive, and constantly aligning itself with national spread. As a result of this, the University of Johannesburg is or will become the first university in South Africa to finish the academic year. Our academic year is going to finish this November. And this is in the background of universities, other universities that are only going to finish their academic year next year in March. In the words of Arundhati Roy, and I quote, "Historically, pandemics have forced humans to break with the past and imagine their world anew. This one is no different. It is a portal, a gateway between one world and the next." Close quote. Before I walk you through this, I must begin by expressing once again my sincere gratitude to the President of the Convocation, Professor Boitumelo Diale. I am deeply appreciative of the support that you and the Executive Committee of Convocation, as well as our UJ Convocation, have shown over the course of this challenging year. Many of our achievements would not have been possible without you. And as we look to the fortune, we continue to hold your input and gravitas in high esteem. The convocation is a crucial component of our institution, as it represents the official interface between the university and our esteemed alumni. This is integral for the functioning of the university, as it allows you to pass your opinions to the university for consideration. Though many of you have not been students for some time, you are an important part of the UJ community, and we value your voice. In the last few months, UJ has been true to its mission and vision in working towards discharging our duties to our students and safeguarding our staff and students. This has been a time in history that has called for the leadership of a university to steer and row through troubled, dynamic, and evolving waters. In charting our university's response, I have been fortunate to have the support of management the senior leadership of the university, academic student bodies, and importantly, the UJ Convocation. The context certainly seemed daunting, but we have been swift in our response. As countries began locking down, economies came to a standstill. Schools, higher education institutions, and the companies that could shifted to remote methods of learning, teaching, and working, and where the shift could not be made, jobs were lost. We, of course, had the contingency plan in place. In fact, UJ's robust structures, systems, and processes provided the kind of infrastructure on the basis of which a comprehensive plan for emergency remote teaching could be engineered. So amid this seemingly flawed context, what have we achieved? Remote teaching and learning were put into place in a context of emergency dictated by circumstances and exigencies. Our aim was to allow the academic year to continue with minimal disruption. I am pleased to tell you that this aim has been successfully achieved. The first cycle of remote teaching and assessment has been completed. Despite the disruptions, the academic year has continued and can proceed, and there is already much to be proud of. The first semester is a testament to the great efforts of the UJ community. Our undergraduate success rate for the first semester was 88.3% compared to 84.7% last year. I also stated that class attendance was on par this year with last year, while student cancellations were lower this year than last year. While some students have returned to campus, our online offering will continue for the rest of this year. We have worked on prioritizing students that require access to facilities, such as laboratories or clinics, ensuring that all the necessary COVID-19 health protocols and safety standards are implemented. Though this is certainly something to boast about, the transition to remote teaching and learning has not been without its challenges. As our university serves as a microcosm of South Africa, the digital divide remains stuck. For many of our students, limited access to devices and data posed a stark challenge. We often take for granted that these resources that we perceive as necessities are not a reality for all. For some, difficult decisions have had to be taken about whether to forego other needs in favor of data bundles. In a show of our commitment to our entire body of students, we have responded to this as an institution with the distribution of devices and agreement with telecommunications companies to provide free data for this period. Through the UJ COVID Fund and the reprioritization of resources within the university, we have provided more than 5,900 devices to our students this year. In addition to this, our university website has been zero rated, whereas our learning management systems have not. We acknowledge, however, that the vexed issue of devices and data requires a national intervention. At the university level, there could be merit in exploring more ways of utilizing mobile technology to support teaching and learning. Then, of course, is the challenge of context. Many of our students find themselves in settings that aren't always conducive to learning. While we have continually tried to pivot solutions to these challenges, there needs to be a view towards developing long-term plans. Despite the challenges, we have continued to be at the fore of pertinent conversations. The university has continued to participate and contribute to discussions and intellectual debates in public spaces on COVID-19. You have no doubt read about truly enterprising work undertaken using 3D printers to produce PPE and ventilators, for example. Our ventilator project, created by 3D printers, has won an external tender bid of 30.5 million rands. This is just one area where the university has ensured that it is at the forefront of this battle against this dreadful pandemic. We have also created a strategic partnership with MESITA to continue delivering a response to the COVID-19 pandemic in a way that promotes and enables rapid technology innovation transitions from PSET to workplaces in the manufacturing and engineering industrial sector of the economy. We have also used cloud debates to discuss aspects of COVID-19 and potential solutions. Given our university's strategic contextualization for the fourth industrial revolution, we continue to play a significant role in shaping this future. We have launched a new webinar initiative, the Post-Corona World. I have just published a book, Closing the Gap, the fourth industrial revolution in Africa, in order to bring solutions that are going to ensure inclusion, the reduction of poverty, unemployment, and inequalities. In August, UJ was one of the partners that led to the virtual AI dialogue to address the challenges of an uneven artificial intelligence landscape in South Africa, and to ensure an equitable AI systems control. The event brought together multiple stakeholders from businesses, academia, civil societies, human rights activists, labor movements, non-profit organizations, small, medium, and micro enterprises, legal fraternity, women, and youth organizations signing the expression of interest to ensure that Africa is not left behind in this revolution called the fourth industrial revolution. We are also seeing a fundamental shift in the fight for social justice. Many more than before have sounded a clarion call for greater equality across gender, racial lines, and class divisions. While the COVID pandemic might itself become the object and subject of research, I believe that greater focus will be given to social justice issues, the utilization of technology for the good of all, and finally, a quest for the just society. This will perhaps be the greatest definer of this new world order. Since the last AGM, there have been some shifts at the university. In 2018, when I took the reins as Vice Chancellor and Principal, and to build on the legacy left by my predecessors, I introduced Industry 4.0 to the university as part of the already existing Global Excellence in Stature strategy. which initiated a highly successful developmental trajectory in terms of the university's global academic standing and was adopted in 2018. Through GES 4.0, UJ intends to advance and position its strategic intent of attaining global excellence and stature in the context of the fourth industrial revolution and to support the African continent in embracing 4IR as a leading African institution in a globally competitive environment. The GES 4.0 strategy does not mean that issues of decolonization are by the wayside. One of the most significant decolonization projects that I have initiated is the writing of 20 biographies of African leaders. As we speak, we have already launched the biography of Professor Mangaliso Robert Song. Mzala Numalo's biography is almost completed. Harry Gwala's biography is in the printing press. This is what decolonization is all about. It is about bringing to the agenda issues around Africa and its inclusion in the new era of the fourth industrial revolution. UJ, therefore, is widely regarded as a model to other universities in leading the 4IR conversation in South Africa and the continent. In this regard, I have given university-wide lectures at the University of Cape Town, at the University of Venda, at the University of South Africa, and other universities. I have gone to South African Parliament to talk about this issue of the fourth industrial revolution. If we are to define the 4IR, it encompasses advancements in artificial intelligence, Internet of Things, blockchain, and robotics. Internet of Things is being used in Rwanda, together with drones, to deliver blood supplies to rural areas. I also am glad to announce that I am the chairman of the Africa Center of Internet of Things in Rwanda. And this is really about the inclusion of African people into the technological developments that are happening and defining our times. The 4IR is changing every facet of our society, from the way we interact to how our industries operate, to the way we consume. Universities have to shift their roles towards a focus on emerging requirements of business, governments, and society. The changes that will be brought about by the 4IR will be swift and often unpredictable. It is crucial that our planning processes allow for constant adaptation. The ability of the continent, countries, organizations, and individuals to rapidly adapt and evolve to take advantage of the changing environment shall be essential. Importantly, UJ's approach to 4IR has a pan-African focus with the goal of ensuring that the continent provides at least some answers to the challenges raised by the fourth industrial revolution from an African perspective. Already we have seen a shift in the way students are responding to the 4IR. We have master's dissertations on how to 3D print your well and robots developed by students to demonstrate how programming can make inanimate objects move via coding enabling the robot to solve a maze. This year, we launched a compulsory artificial intelligence course for all our first-year students. We are on the precipice of change. In this regard, I have requested the EXCO of the convocation to identify 20 members of the convocation that will register for this course for free. Additionally, UJ has established a course, Accounting and the Fourth Industrial Revolution, together with SAICA, the South African Institute of Chartered Accountants. Again, I invite 10 members of the convocation to be identified by the executive committee to come and register for this course for free. According to the latest QS World University rankings, our university has risen by an impressive 62 places from last year's global ranking position. Remarkably, we have now broken into the top 500 position for the first time and are ranked globally at position 489. Not only has UJ improved upon its overall ranking, but it is now ranked number 3 in South Africa and number 4 in Africa. Significantly, we are the only university in South Africa that has climbed these rankings. UJ has also seen an upward trajectory in the 2020-2021 Center for World University Rankings and UREP field rankings published last year. In the CWUR rankings, UJ was the only South African university inside the top 10 nationally to have improved and climbed this year from its previous position. We climbed by a considerable 55 places from last year's 2019-2020 global ranking, and retained our excellent position as one of the best universities in the world out of 200 universities surveyed. In the UREP field rankings, UJ featured and ranked in 18 of the 61 UREP field rankings, 3 more than last year. UJ has been placed 75th overall in the world out of more than 850 participating universities across 89 countries for global, societal, economic, and environmental impact in the latest Times Higher Education university rankings. As a university, we take the issues of environmental sustainability extremely serious. In this regard, for the first time, the University of Johannesburg is generating 13% of its power from solar energy. This is from 0% at the end of 2017, just on the eve of me taking over as the university vice chancellor. In that, this means we are going to save 5 million rands per annum out of our energy consumption. And our plan is that before the end of my term, 20% of our energy will be coming from solar power. This is actually quite important because some of this solar farm here at APK came with an additional benefit because we are using the parking lots which are not covered. Now these parking lots are covered. The same goes for our Soweto campus. In addition to being ranked 75th in the world in the overall impact ranking table in the THE University Impact Ranking, UJ was also recognized for and excelled in several specific SDGs. It was ranked in the top 100 for the following Sustainable Development Goals. Sustainable Development Goal 1, no poverty, it was ranked number 8. 10, reduced inequalities, it was ranked number 30. SDG 4, quality education, it was ranked number 44. SDG 8, decent work and economic growth, it was ranked number 48. SDG 17, partnerships for the goals, was ranked number 50. SDG 5, gender equality, it was ranked number 75. This is globally out of more than 20,000 universities. In addition to this, the university staff and students continue to be recognized and celebrated and featured prominently on national and international forums. There is certainly a lot to be proud of, and as part of the UJ community, you can hold your head very high up. Not only are we successfully navigating the difficult terrain the pandemic has presented, but we are also responding with tenacity to the global changes we are seeing and the shift towards a more digital and inclusive society. I remind you today of your inextricable link with our university and urge you all to continue to reimagine the future with us. After all, as the American philosopher John Dewey put it, and I quote, education is not preparation for life. Education is life itself. Close quote. Ngiyabonga. Kiyalibuka. Bayadanki. I thank you.
Thank you, Prof. Marwala, for your address, and we really appreciate the words, the leadership that you give to the university with your executive, and the words of wisdom you shared with us as the convocation today. Now, my dear convocants, now it is the time to go to the question and answer session. We have been receiving questions on the Q&A section on the platform, and we have tried to respond to some of the questions. However, we would want to take also some of the questions that are there and allow our colleagues to respond. Can I start with the question around graduations? Can I please ask our registrar, Prof. Kinta, to talk around the issue of graduations? Prof. Kinta, our convocants want to know that the fact that the graduations didn't take place, they missed graduation. What is the plan of the UJ regarding them crossing the stage? Prof. Kinta.
Yes, thank you, President. Yeah, of course, we realize that the graduation ceremony is such a special event for our graduates, and we feel extremely sad that they've missed out on that opportunity this year. And of course, it's not only for the graduates, but also for their loved ones. So unfortunately, with the restrictions on gatherings and numbers in a room, still even in level 1, we had to take all our graduations as a virtual graduation. What we've done is we've also developed a selfie app. Now, I know it can't replace the true moment, the real moment, but it does allow for a graduate to at least take a photo in a graduation gown with different settings and backgrounds, etc. But right from the start, when we communicated to our graduates that we need to do this virtually, we said we are really committed to have a sort of a celebration ceremony where graduates then can walk the stage, you know, in their gowns and take some photos with their loved ones. It will not be a full-fledged graduation ceremony that we can repeat just because of the numbers. Every year we have about 13,000 graduates and already close to 70 sessions. Now you can imagine if we need to have it as a scaled-down session with fewer numbers, that number is just to increase so that we will do only graduations the whole year. But we are still committed to have a celebration ceremony as soon as we can. Thanks, President.
Thank you, Prof. Kinta. Thank you, Prof. Kinta, for taking the question, for answering the question around graduations. We appreciate that. The next question that is here, I think I will pose it to our VC, Prof. Marwala. We've got a question here that Sydney wants to know with regards to remote teaching. Now that we are doing remote teaching, is it possible that in a few years coming, we will see remote teaching become the only method used at UJ?
No, thank you very much. We have no intention of becoming a distance university. What we imagine going into the future is that we are going to be a residential university where we do what is called blended learning. Blended learning means we are going to use online platforms to do some form of teaching, and this will be based on the effectiveness of the teaching of that particular section of our curriculum. But also our students will have to come on campus to also have contact teaching. Of course, with COVID, we are no the days of classrooms with 500 students are fast becoming part of us. So we're going to see smaller classrooms, much more intimate contact, but widespread use of online facilities as tutors. So virtual tutorials are going to be part of who we are. Virtual teachers are going to be part of who we are, but it is going to be a blended approach. Thank you.
Thank you, Prof, for responding to that. I just want to take the next question, which I will respond to the question that is posed by Ernest around how we can get our convocants to be involved, actively involved, whether in establishing subcommittees to organize more robustly, especially inputs to the UJ Council. How can they engage? How can we engage them actively? And in responding to this, I just want to say to you, in my talk, I said to you, we are led by you.
Sorry.
I said we are led by you. You are part of who we are. So in engaging us in saying there might be need for subcommittees to deal with particular issues. Yes, we are the executive, but we are the executive for the convocation. And when there is need to establish such subcommittees, we will do so, but we are looking forward to engage each and every one of you in the various ways in which you want to be involved. And in addition to that, can I ask one of my executive members, my deputy, in terms of how can we engage our convocants in terms of giving us ideas or subcommittees in terms of the UJ Council when making submissions to the UJ Council.
Thanks, President. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Zanele Modiba, the Deputy President of the Convocation. I think the question can really be answered in a tiered way, but your first point of call as an alumni is to really engage with our Alumni Connect. This platform is really well placed for the times we're in now. It gives you an opportunity to not only engage with your previous constituents, your previous residences, and your previous classes, but also gives you an engage to mentor and to engage in topics and discussions that are relevant for you. So Alumni Connect is designed specifically for the remote alumni who wants to engage with the previous students, previous departments, but also engage in mentoring some of the individuals that they might have an interest in. So that is our first point of call. Additionally, Prof. Diale spoke about the chapter alumni sessions that we want to advocate for. We recently had a great online meeting with the American alumni chapters who were quite keen to get involved with other different chapters. So as I understand your question, you want more robust, smaller committees for us to be able to engage different platforms, including council. We are your first point of call as the executives. Engage us, communicate with us, and we will be your mouthpiece because we've got 3 executive members that already are on council. So they are the mouthpiece for convocation. But if there are any other activity that you want to arrange, we have an open door policy. Professor Diale is very open to having one-on-one conversations about what we can do moving forward. To paraphrase Helen Keller, one leaf does not provide enough shade. We are truly open and we want to integrate, and we obviously want to support all of your ideas, and we will examine them, and based on merit and practicality, we will engage them. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Ms. Modiba. We have, I'm looking at my charts here in terms of the questions. Professor Marwala, there's a question on how does one flag an interest in taking part in the new UJ SAICA program as a UJ Convocation member?
No, thank you very much. Please write to the president of the convocation, and then the exco will select the 10 people who are going to come to this course. But if you are interested to register for the course as an alumni, the 10 are for free. Then Professor Kinta will give you all the details.
Thank you, Prof. Marwala. So I will await those emails and those interest letters in terms of taking part. Welcome. We will soon be posting details on where to contribute in terms. We take note of your comment in terms of contributing towards building of the girls' residence, and we appreciate that you are coming up to say we want to contribute, and this is what we want to see. Thank you very much. We will soon be posting and sending out information to our alumni in terms of how to contribute towards this project. My silence doesn't mean I'm away, it still means I'm here and I'm looking at the questions that are coming up. And with the upcoming projects of which the President of the Convocation has spoken about, how can the UJ students within the Faculty of Engineering and Built Environment get access to being given the opportunity to gain practical building experience during the construction of such projects, or rather being given the opportunity to be part of the planning stages of such projects? I can't see whether in my list I have the Executive Dean of Engineering, but nonetheless, let me ask Prof. Marwala as the former Executive Dean of Engineering. Here are engineering students saying there are building projects happening within the university. How can they be practically involved for them to gain some experience? Prof. Marwala.
Yeah, obviously there are various ways in which we can get involved. The first one was, when before all this infrastructure were approved by our council, we called for expression of interests, and you can obviously, as a business people, fully participate. I think that is mainly the same, the way it is done. We do involve local communities. For example, if you go to Soweto, we normally have local input. For example, in the just completed residents in Soweto, the people who were putting the curtains were local people. Again, if you are a member of that community, you can actually get involved. So, Kinta, if you could connect the convocation to Professor Sharp, who is the CEO.
Thank you. Sulufelam, we see your suggestion about how about a hybrid degree of BA in Com Science, Logic and Experimentation. We take that into note and we'll give it to our registrar and our DVC academic to look at that. Thank you for giving the suggestion, and we don't have an immediate answer, but we acknowledge that you have given this suggestion and we will take it up. Okay, Prof. Marwala.
The other degree that is probably similar to that, but not quite, is a BA in PET, Politics, Economics and Technology, which only started, it started last year, so it's in its second year running. Again, to give our students and our the opportunity to learn about society, about economy, and about technology all at the same time. It is the first of its kind in the world.
Thank you, Prof. Marwala, for that. Prof. Kinta, there's a question that is asking, Anonymous is asking, that he's got a sibling that dropped out in 2011 because of fees, and now he wants to come back and finish. How can he get the 2011 results? Or who should he contact in order to get help regarding the results and re-register second year? He was doing a diploma in accounting.
President, thank you for that question. I'm going to put my email address in the response box so that this person just write me an email with the details so that I can look into it and see how we can assist. Thanks, President.
Thank you. Earlier on, Tebogo asked about in one of the questions, the three questions, he asked about employability and what do we do around unemployability of our graduates. And I see Ayanda Boluse is also asking the same questions around the issues of unemployability. Yes, we recognize that it is a difficult time now. However, we are willing to hold hands with you to see the possibilities of establishing what is around there. Tebogo gave very practical, beautiful suggestions around us looking at doing a survey around our graduates who are unemployed and looking at the possibilities of the fields that they can get employed to and going out to the world of work there to actually help them promote. Because there are various issues that we need to help our students or our graduates with that might lead to unemployment. So together with you convocants and for those of you who are in spaces that have got opportunities, let us hold hands, communicate with the office so that we can make these opportunities open to our fellow students and be aware of them. There is a question by Odile. I hope I'm spelling your name right. Odile wants to know, the UJ Convocation constitution is very vague. What exactly are the aims and objectives of the Convocation Executive? And on which issues do they account to council? Prof. Marwala.
I'm going to request Kinta.
Prof. Kinta.
Thank you, President. I think in terms of which issues we can get the inputs from convocation on any issue. that is important to the university. And that's why we also really want to just ask convocation members to become involved, to get to know the university. And the Alumni Connect is a very good way to connect to the university, to see also what they can do to become more involved in mentorship, because that's where we feel the value of our alumni also lies, is to support younger graduates, to bring them also in contact with their networks. So we really think that is where we need to have our convocation members more involved. But it's on any matter that is important to the university that we can get inputs from the alumni, from our convocation members, because the alumni and the convocation members in general are very, very important stakeholders. You can imagine if, say, there's a query or a question about UJ's qualifications, the integrity of our exams, etc. All these things that also need to be important to our convocants, because if there's a question mark about the qualification, then you, with a UJ qualification, then also have that negative impact on your life. So it's on all matters. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you. Okay, the next question, I think the next two questions, Prof. Kinta, you could answer them also as the registrar. The first question is, I would also like to ask this, what can the UJ do to increase the number of students being able to study postgraduate or honours qualifications? Because at the moment, it seems like the space is the constraint, even those students do qualify to study at that level.
Thanks, President, and thanks for that question. Actually, we have just gone through again a planning session for our enrollment, looking at, what is the proportion undergraduate, postgraduate, how many students we want in honours, masters, doctoral, etc. So almost in all instances, we really want to grow these postgraduate qualifications. Of course, there are postgraduate qualifications that are so popular that we just don't have enough supervisors. But what we said in these discussions recently as well is, where they are popular, we will need to see at what resources we can provide, because really from UJ's side, we want to grow our postgraduate numbers, not to disadvantage our undergraduates, because also we have a total capacity of students that we can enroll, but in essence, we want to grow our postgraduate. So if there's students out there that have completed their undergraduate and looking now for postgraduate, to further their studies, please apply to UJ and we will take it from there. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Prof. Kinta. There's a question about fees. Are we going to see fees decrease now that we are more online than on campus?
No, thank you very much. No, there is no plan to reduce the fees. As a matter of fact, our students are supposed to be back on campus, and our staff are back on campus. More than 5,000 of our students are now back on campus. As you know, we normally have 7,000 students on our campuses. So there are no plans of reducing fees. In fact, we are now worried about the new ways in which we can be able to keep the university sustainable. Because what is happening is that due to the deep recession that our government is experiencing, there is a move that has already been announced that the subsidy that government gives to university is going to be reduced. So that will have a direct impact on our revenues. Secondly, it is clear that we are not going to go to the same classrooms that we normally have. For example, we are not going to have classrooms with 500 students anymore, which basically means on the input side, we will need to have more classes than before, because if you have a class with 500 students, it means it has to be divided into 5 different classes. And obviously this means our cost is going to go up. But you are going to work with Convocation on how we're going to mitigate against this. Thank you.
Thank you, Prof. Marwala. There's a question by Anonymous, which actually I probably highlighted in passing in terms when I gave my address in terms of the available systems in terms of the UJ Alumni Connect. And Anonymous wants to know about the academic records. No, so it's not Anonymous, it's Ayanda wants to know about the academic records when they are owing fees, especially if they need them to apply for jobs. I think in our Alumni Connect, we make it clear that we can be able to send your academic record to the employees, but I don't know, Prof. Kinta, if you want to explain further, but we do have, we cannot deny you the opportunity to get a job. So if you are applying for a job and your employer needs your academic record, your employer can request and we can be able to send your academic record to the third party.
Thanks, President. Yes, indeed. We realize that it's a bit of a catch-22 for the students, for the graduates, because they need that academic record to then seek opportunity, employment opportunities. But also in some instances, they want to move to another university or further their studies. So what our processes are is that a student can just write to us and request that we share the academic record with such a potential employer, a potential sponsor, or even another university, and we do that then directly. But unfortunately, we need also to retain that record just so that students then also enter agreement with the university to settle their debts. So the first step is to enter with a acknowledgement of debt with our finance division, so that we can see how we can assist you to settle your debt so that eventually you can get your academic record. But for the interim, as Prof. Diale said, that we can share it with those potential employers. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you. I'm trying to see, colleagues, my executive, help me identify if there's any questions we haven't answered on the Q&A. Some of the questions, my dear convocants, we haven't read out, but we have answered on the Q&A section. So if you still feel there's a question you've asked and you haven't answered, please alert us of that. Prof. Kinta.
Chair, yeah, there are still a couple of questions. Sorry, they are still coming in, but there are some questions that are very, linked to a specific person. For example, someone that has applied and didn't get in. So what I'm asking, I'm just looking here that email address that I shared earlier, that those colleagues and convocants can just write to me so that we can investigate the matter, and then I will respond directly to them. We will not be able to answer those questions here because I first need to see just the details of the case. And then there's also questions about someone that has been employed by the university and under temporary appointment. I ask why not permanent? Again, if that colleague can just write to me and I will take it up with HR so that we can get a proper response back. And I'm just looking further here. And there's also, I see, I'm going to publish this one. It's a congratulations to the Vice Chancellor for doing so well. So I'm publishing that one, Vice Chancellor.
Whilst we are on that, Prof. Kinta, Prof. Marwala, there's a question that is asking if the SAICA program, is it for accountants only?
Well, it was obviously done in conjunction with SAICA. So the motivation for it was that accounting or accountancy is changing rapidly. It is being infused with artificial intelligence and blockchain. So in order for SAICA on their part, for them to be able to make our accountants to adapt to this new technological development, they came to us and we co-created this project. So it is targeted at accountants. So it's not going to be teaching people accounting. It assumes that they already understand accounting. What it does is to teach them to augment their knowledge of accounting with the knowledge of artificial intelligence and blockchain and other related technologies with regards to accounting.
Thank you, Prof. Marwala. Siwe, I am very much excited and looking forward to work with you in terms of innovations that you want to bring in terms of the convocation as the young people. Yes, the young blood would serve us well to ensure that we stay innovative and stay to the point and address the needs of our youth within the UJ Convocation. So please feel free to write to me, feel free to communicate with me, and to, if you need to meet with me, that we discuss the innovative ideas that we would want to suggest to the convocation executive that we can take forward. We are looking forward to those engagements. I am trying to look if there are any. I see there's a question. When will the university start helping the students from Faculty of Health Sciences to find hospital for training practice? Because there are a lot of troubles which students face when they are looking for hospitals to apply as students. For example, in this 2020, a lot of hospitals are saying they are not going to take students from UJ for training practice, but UJ wants the acceptance letter from a hospital to be registered for a certain program. Now, how are we going to help these new students? Prof. Marwala.
No, thank you very much. Unfortunately, for clinical training, and it's going to even become a bigger problem when we launch our own medical school, that we cannot accept someone unless we have a particular training platform, which is a hospital placement, where the student will do their practical training. And the hospitals that we normally use are public hospitals. Of course, for some of our courses, such as radiology, such as nursing, we are in agreement with private providers such as Medicare. So, and they obviously limit as to how many students these particular hospitals are going to take. All I can say is that we are continually engaging these hospitals, and we are continually engaging the departments of health, provincial departments of health, whether in Gauteng or any other part of the country, so that we can expand our clinical training platform, and by so doing, expand the number of students that we can be able to admit. It is regrettable, especially given the extreme needs in our society for healthcare workers. It is regrettable that year after year, we do not necessarily get all the training platforms that we require. But as much as possible, we are increasing, and we have been increasing this training platform, and we are going to be relentless in ensuring that we increase this training platform. And some of the reasons why, certainly in the public sphere, why there is a big limit is also the budgetary matter. We know about the difficulties that the Gauteng Department of Health has been experiencing, starting with the life epidemic, and all these issues that this department has been experiencing. Ultimately, it results with fewer clinical placements than otherwise we would prefer as the university. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Prof. Marwala. There's a question by Khotatso. Khotatso is asking questions around cross-faculty work. Is it possible for a student registered in a certain faculty department to research or use facilities of another faculty or department of the university? For example, a student in the Faculty of Engineering using facilities in the College of Business and Economic to carry out entrepreneurial development activities. Prof. Kinta, is there such a possibility within the University of Johannesburg?
Yes, Chair, there's definitely a possibility. What we actually encourage very strongly is that there's good collaboration, interdisciplinary research, interdisciplinary programs, etc. between faculty. So it's something that we actually encourage to not only share in the spirit of working together, but also in terms of our resources. And for one good example is we've got a central facility in the science faculty where we house all the big equipment, research equipment, and that is also open for other faculties to use. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you. Professor Marwala, in your address, you spoke about UJ being ranked third. Our convocants want to know which is the first and the second ranked university respectively.
The first was University of Cape Town, the second was University of Witwatersrand. It is one trend that is emerging is that we are consistently ranked ahead of the University of Pretoria. And in some rankings, we are ranked ahead of the University of Stellenbosch, in some they are ranked ahead of us. So this is where we are. Going forward, we would like to be ranked third, on our way to being ranked first, consistently in all the rankings. And if you look at our research output and the kind of programs that we have actually initiated in the University of Johannesburg, we are on the way there. There was a time when I was still a professor at a university in Braamfontein. I am not going to mention the name of the university. And they used to call UJ a high school down the road. I'll be very interested whether they will have the audacity to even utter such words. Of course they won't, because the university has become a significant university, not only in South Africa, but in Africa and also in the world. And some of the indicators that we are getting are basically the number of prominent universities that want to partner with us. Last year, we had 70 Masters of Business Administration students from Stanford University, from Silicon Valley. Stanford University is in Silicon Valley, coming to the University of Johannesburg to learn with our students. And this is an indication that we are not only just a significant university in South Africa, but we are a significant university globally. Thank you.
Thank you, Prof. Marwala. It's just an important comment that we need to take into consideration from one of our executive members, that there is little transformation with supervisors for honors to PhD level. So as the university, you are urged to actually intensify postgraduate studies and make it more appealing to all students who qualify. So as the university will need to work harder in terms of improving our intake of our postgraduate students. There are two questions, more questions that I would like Prof. Kinta to respond to because they fall under her portfolio. The first one is on what are the other alternatives in terms of obtaining our graduation certificates if we are not able to collect them personally? Is it possible to have them couriered to us? And then the second question is, if one has failed 2 modules in good financial standing with the institution and currently working abroad, how can they be assisted to complete the remaining modules while they are working abroad?
Thank you very much, President. The first one about the certificates, yes, there's definitely the option for it to be couriered. We have now like a drive-through facility here where students can collect their certificates. But yes, we can, of course, also courier it, but there will be a cost involved in that. The best would be to go to the web page where we have all this information. So I'm just asked my colleague then to just put that web page link on in response to the question. And then the other issue about outstanding modules, again, I just asked that the student write to me directly so that I can see what modules are these that are outstanding, to see if there's maybe an online version of these modules. Some of these modules are now also online modules, and to see if we can assist. So please feel free to write to me. Thank you.
Thank you, Prof. Kinta. Later, you will see that an email that you can use to communicate with me is posted on the chat. To our anonymous in terms of our international or overseas alumni, as I said in my address, we really are looking forward and excited in establishing international chapters and would really want you to connect with us. Please write to us on our email, alumni@uj.ac.za, and we will come back to you, and we are willing to work hand in hand with you to establish these chapters. I think, fellow convocants, we've responded. Okay, there's one last question from Lemo. Thank you for the great session. Universities are often criticized for not matching the jobs or corporate skills requirements. Have you come across this concern? What is being done about it? Secondly, what support is there for former graduates in terms of skills development to allow them to continue to be relevant in the new normal? This is particularly for those who are not economically active. Should I pose this question to you, Prof. Kinta, or Prof. Marwala? Would you want to take on it?
Kinta?
Sorry, Chair, I've just okay. The last part. I was just okay. It's a question from Lemo. She wants to know that universities are often criticized for not matching the jobs or corporate skills requirements. Have you come across this concern, and what is done about it? And secondly, what support do we give in terms of skills development for those who are not economically active?
Chair, yeah, I think just all the faculties have quite a number and a wide variety of community engagement projects. I know that, for example, in engineering as well, that they actually do these, support in rural areas as well. And I think that's part of every faculty's community engagement. But what I think is also very important is the matter about the relevance of our programs. And that is something that we are looking at always, to make sure that our programs remain relevant. And in particular now, the last 2-3 years, with the Vice-Chancellor and with 4OR, we've really looked at our curriculums. We brought in modules that really prepared the students to be very successful in a 4IR world. So faculties also have advisory boards where they bring in their stakeholders, the industry stakeholders, to also advise and to make sure that our programs remain relevant. And then we also do surveys and to check with the main employers, but also from students to hear where they've been employed, how difficult it was to get employment, etc. So I think the relevancy of the programs remains a key driver for when we think about the curriculum. Thank you.
Thank you, Prof. Kinta. I'm taking the last few questions as we prepare towards the closure. There were important questions that were sent before the convocation meeting through the agenda, and it is important for us to address those questions. The first question was by Dr. Tshepo Vulani-Moloi that had to do with the era of the fees must fall and the issues around decolonization or decolonizing degrees in UJ. So, Tshepo, if I understand your question well, you want to know what we have done or what are we doing in terms of decolonization and the degrees that we offer at UJ. And I think Prof. Kinta had a response to that question.
And maybe if I could also just add, I did
yes.
respond, and Dr. Tshepo Moloi is one of the people that we have requested to write a biography of Professor Eskaya Mpahlele, one of our leading intellectuals who was nominated 4 times for the Nobel Prize, Dr. Moloi. I am looking forward to reading that biography as part of decolonizing our history.
Thank you, Prof. Marwala and Dr. Tshepo. We're really excited about this and looking forward to reading more about the book that you will be writing. Thank you, Dr. Stella Vuma, for your positive comments in terms of us as a newbie in the field as the University of Johannesburg without a medical school. And besides that, we've done fairly well as compared to the top 2. So well done to the UJ and to the Vice-Chancellor. Colleagues, I don't see any further questions that are coming up. There was one question that was posted before the meeting when we were asking for an agenda item. Either Prof. Marwala, this is your field, you probably could help us better. There's a question around climate sciences. UJ introduces the use of climate sciences app and web materials to learn about climate change. Or these are the desired outcomes that we should introduce, if possible. A climate science app and web material to learn about climate change. And also, Faith also wishes to see an outcome that will hold an open discussion on campuses about climate change. So all the issues around climate change, and I know as the UJ you've been working on that. Can you please respond in terms of what are we doing in terms of addressing issues of climate change as the UJ?
Well, I mean, I think I've already talked about the issue of energy and the use of solar energy. and the separation of our waste is another project. And also to one of the things that I would like to introduce is to ban plastics from our campuses. If we can ban plastics in our campuses, that could send a very, very good message. The last time I went to Rwanda, at the airport, they search you to see whether you have any plastic. If you have, you can't get into the country with plastic. And I think if you look at the THE ranking on sustainability, you will see that there are many projects that are going. I guess your question is also directed at what are we doing? Are we teaching all our students about climate change? Surely we are teaching our students about artificial intelligence, all of them. Now we have to take artificial intelligence. Surely we are teaching them about decolonization. That's why all our students have to take the Africa Insights module. All our students have to take that. It's a requirement for them to graduate. Can we start thinking about the same on climate change? I think that is a good suggestion, and we are going to discuss it further and give feedback in the next meeting.
Thank you, Professor Marwala. Dear colleagues, I think we have come to the end of our session because of the Q&A session. We have answered most of the questions. The questions that are not answered, you're welcome to please write to us. There's one that we won't necessarily answer now, but we noting, Ayanda, your question about the plans to have a drama department when looking into the arts department. We will push that forward to that department for them to look, and Prof. Kinta can also give us maybe further ideas around it.
Thank you, Chair. What I was also thinking about is to have just all these questions that we've received captured with our responses as well, so that we can share it with a convocation and we can put it on the web page so that we can share it with the wider convocation as well.
Thank you so much. In closing the Q&A session, I want to say to Anonymous, yes, as I had said, some of the colleagues or some of the convocants are from TWR and others are from RAU. So we just want to make you aware that yes, you can apply for a new UJ certificate as an alumni of the UJ from TWR and RAU. So Anonymous, yes, get in touch with the alumni office for you to apply for a new UJ certificate. Thank you so much for the participation and for the questions that are asked. I am now going to hand over to our Deputy President for closing remarks. Over to you, Ms. Zanele.
Good evening, and thank you all for your attendance. It is truly inspiring to hear of all the valuable work that this university has embarked on during this really testing time. The University of Johannesburg has without a doubt been on the right side of the COVID-19 response. Thank you to our Vice-Chancellor, Professor Tshilidzi Marwala, for his pioneering approach to higher education and his laser focus in leading the charge of the fourth industrial revolution. Thank you to our President, Professor Diale. You have done an outstanding job in such a short time. Thank you for sharing and summing up our future plans. Thank you for your valuable insight and feedback. And really, I think it's important that our conference know what our plans are for 2021 and 2022. There's an open door policy. Please make use of the emails. Thank you to our registrar, Professor Kinta Berger, the Secretary of the Convocation, and to our alumni office and all the support staff. Thank you for your continued support and for your coverage during this very trying time. Finally, I'd like to, and most importantly, thank you, our valued alumni, our convocation. Your participation is noted and certainly encouraged. The recommendations that have been derived from this AGM will, I'm very confident, be used to input in our future plans. It is our responsibility to carry out these recommendations resolutely and move forward and ensure that they are placed high on the alumni agenda. We hope that you will continue to stay committed to engaging us and connecting with us on all our platforms, especially Alumni Connect. We look forward to making sure that we've got an agile alumni network, and we assure you that we will be on the fast track to fulfill our mandate. With these words, let me once again express my gratitude and thanks for all of you for joining us this evening, and we will make sure that we continue to engage in you as and when. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Ms. Modiba. As we have come to the end of our session today, I want to declare this meeting, the AGM of the Convocation, UJ Convocation 2020, officially closed. Thank you to everybody. Goodbye. Thank you.